Hi everyone, this is Moipa Social Media, and I just finished seeing an interview that was made on, a short interview that was made in Instagram. I saw a little clip of La Sandra Guzman, Junior's mother, was talking. So I don't have to beat around the bush because I really am trying to, but I don't want to sound very, negative. But she was saying, how she wants proof they that they can stick with the, that they can stick with the case of her son who was murdered on June 26 of 2018 by the Trinitario gangs. Now there are the lawyers and their lawyers, of course, are saying that, and I guess the judge is saying that it's possible that her son, Junior, was in a gang. So I see a lot of the comments on Instagram saying that, in very much disagreement of that, even though he was, or hypothetically would have been, a gang member, that has no bearing to the fact that they killed. And true, she says that has no bearing to the fact that they killed an innocent 15-year-old who was running for his life, and that was chased like 4 blocks before killing him. So regardless of, for whatever reason, Junior was killed that night, now everyone in the courts are saying, well, this kid was in the gang member, and we can possibly give these young men a lesser sentence due to the fact that he, Junior, was in a gang related issue that led to his death. I don't know how that possibly can be. Yes, somebody did bring out the young boy from his house. It wasn't like, he was and wanted to go out. He was let out of his house. Supposedly, Junior was playing on his video, and somebody gave him a call and was asking for $5. Now, according to what I've heard, it was Genesis' boyfriend who, wanted the $5. We will really actually never know about those $5, now will we? But what we do know is that a young 15-year-old, his life was cut short, and it wasn't because of young kids killing him. It was more than 10 adults against one child. And that the judge, whoever it is not seeing this as a crime of a youth. They're looking at it like he was a gang member, and that maybe he had it coming to him. And which I don't agree. I don't agree on that, because the child was murdered in plain sight. Like more than 10 adults were on top of that child. The child was defenseless. He ran on his own. Not even the adults that night were willing to help Junior, and nobody saved his life. He had to fend for himself. Regardless if it was for drugs or for money that was for Stephanie, that, which was, by the way, never mentioned again. Lysandra has to realize that the people who are on that, who are witnesses, are not witnesses that are credible witnesses, because the witnesses are actually the ones who let out to chase Junior down to kill him. They were set on a mission. I don't think that what happened to Junior was a mistake of identity. They were set out to do something and they did it. It wasn't because of mistaken identity. They just want to put it that way. And so now the very same leaders who went out to do what they set out to do are the very same ones that are snitching the young men who took out Junior. And they could say anything because these are leaders. They snitched on their own people. So the defense on Junior, no defense, because the kid has zero witnesses. And if there are witnesses, they're not gonna go out there and say anything, because they're going to be scared for their lives. So she has to look at it like they have to give her proof that her son was a gang member. But she's not realizing that the very same that are there, that she says that killed an innocent child, are the very same ones that are snitching out the gangs who killed her son. And those are leaders. So they're just coming up there, and they're sitting there is because they already had another mission thought out before they even went to court. I don't care if they see this or not. See, the thing is that this was planned and thought out. And so that's why when I go and I comment on YouTube about that they're going to have 15 years or less, is because that was already planned out way before due date of the court. So in real, are we going to have justice for Junior? Are we really going to have that justice? Because the courts need gangs. Otherwise, especially in the Bronx, otherwise they won't have a business, like I said before. You need criminals out there so that they can have a business. That's how you make a business, because in order for these leaders to get out on a sentence or a lesser sentence, mark my words, it's going to be 15 years, they need to have a snitch. Those very same leaders, like I said, have already spoken, and it's not in favor of Junior. They are going to put and trash a 15-year-old and say that he was a gang member. And they're not, it's not even proven fact that the child was even in a gang. Regardless if he was in a gang, he had no reason to be murdered the way that he was murdered. So I just want people to have that in mind, that what is happening here is that they're trying to get a lesser sentence. By doing so, they are not even considering that the child was killed by adults. These are not little kids, like what happened to EJ, or I forgot his name, but we all know who we all know who it is. Isaid. Okay, so I got his name right. Isaid, where you see young kids going after a young child who were sent out, of course, to, machete as well. And his trial was a no trial. So, it's weird to me. I don't know how is it that the Bronx DAs work. I don't know how the courts work in the Bronx, but it's amazing how one child was butchered almost by young teens, and another one was also murdered in such a brutal way, and not by teenagers. He was brutally murdered by adults. But it's amazing to me how they can fix things so that the victim actually looks like they are a criminal to the eyes of the public. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to have the public make them look like they didn't do anything when in clear they did. And they're also trying to very meticulously, which is not really meticulously, but they're trying to sway away from the fact of the matter. And they're trying to put Junior like he was in a gang, and that's why he was killed, and that's why his death occurred. And so they're going to keep on doing this until a witness comes up, someone that knew him very well. And we're not talking about the academy, because they knew them, but because of the academy, they are police, and they are, they're really not going to come into his defense. We need real-time people who were there at the scene of his crime, and what really happened before the facts, what really happened that led to Junior's death and Junior running for his life. It's a very sad thing when you have to witness your son's death, but also hear that your son was a gang member, knowing that your son wasn't. And he may have known gang members, but not necessarily he was involved in gang activity, So it's very, very uncertain of how this will come out. And so to hear her talk today about that she needs proof that her son was in a gang member in order for her to believe it. And people hopefully will understand that what we're hearing is, yes, a mother who refuses to side with what they are saying, because she knew her son more than anyone. But it's even more discerning to me that here are two leaders of the gang, and all of a sudden they come in as witnesses, probably talking against her son. And so these gang members, I feel personally, I'm not saying anything, but me personally, I feel like they got the upper hand, because what they're trying to portray is, look, this is why we did it. This kid wasn't a gang member and he was part of a gang. And so this is why it led to that. This is why A led to B and why B led to C. But it still is not right, because they killed, and it's true. I am wholeheartedly with Junior's mother, is that he was an innocent boy who didn't know what was going on, and they led him into a dark alley, and that dark alley, he never came out of it. Keep quiet. He never got out of the dark alley, and it's sad. I'm just wishing that, and hoping that they will give these men life in prison, and that they will never, ever, ever have to come out of prison or see the day of light ever, ever again. Everyone have a great evening. This is Mawipa Social Media. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.